Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today I have a very important video because this is one that, while it's a very basic guide, it's really best to go back to the fundamentals and really figure out what's going on with your movement. We're going to talk about slide jumping. We're going to talk about strafe dodging while in a gunfight. We're going to discuss even further a, very simple even misdirect. So this is a very important topic. Again, I'm going to be recording this raw. Most of the topics, when I segue, I'm actually going to talk about one where I segue and record my desktop. That's probably the only edit that you're going to see in this video whenever I take a quick cut to that. But nonetheless, this is important because this is a reason why, 1, you're late to gunfights. 2, you might be losing your 1v1s in certain situations, whether close range, mid-range. All of this really adds up to your success on Apex Legends and even getting to your next rotation or getting out of a gunfight. I've also made the bots move in this instance because I'm going to show you how getting damage also lowers your momentum and velocity. Now real quick, one of the things, the values that I have on the upper left hand side of the screen, you see all these numbers going crazy. Right at the bottom left, you're going to see a number that says velocity. We're going to talk about how on Origin and Steam you can enable this. Unfortunately, I don't know how to enable this on console, but it really hits the premise on what I'm going to teach you for today. Okay, so on Steam, this is under your game, which is, I'm going to re-click on this again. So right-click on Apex Legends, hit Properties. You're going to go to, for some reason, there we go, Set Options, Launch Options. Right now I already have quite a few commands already in place. These are my own commands. I'm going to add in +CL_show POS1. That's how you launch it. Now if you're going to do this on Origin, you're going to follow a similar structure. Give me 1 second while I launch it. I may edit to segue right to the command. All right, we're almost there. Now, unfortunately, on console, I don't know how to do this. If somebody does, please let me know in the comment section, but I know this applies for PC, obviously for Steam and Origin. Plus side is that if you're on console, at least I can show you the values, and we can kind of learn it from there. So I'm going to go to Game Properties, Launch Options. I'm going to remove all these. I'm just going to have this one in here. So hit Save, and that's how you do it. Alright, let's segue right into the video. So let us begin. Alright, so the very bare basic, and you have to always find this momentum whenever you are moving around the map. So let's just say in Apex Legends, notice that your max movement is 299 units. This is whenever you're running at max speed. Obviously holding a weapon will lower this cap just slightly, but this is important to notate. Now one thing I do whenever I'm slide jumping, and this is important for all you guys, I have them both bound. But it's very important that your crouch is on toggle or hold, depending on what your personal preference is. There is no right or wrong here at all. So if you're on toggle, notice how I just click it and it just slides on its own. Now, if you happen to be on the other spectrum and you want to hold it, that's perfectly fine too. Now, I'm going to really break this down because I haven't really seen this in a lot of guides, and it's important to notate that you maximize on that movement. So you'll notice when you're sliding, you hit at one point in the slide a maximum speed of around 400. I may slow down this footage and recap it. You may hear my voice disappear. Voice disappear, but you'll notice that at one moment you hit the highest point in the slide. So what you want to do when you're slide jumping is you want to always maximize your peak whenever you're sliding. Now this is hard to time, but over time as you do this, you'll start to get better and better. And of course your movement whenever you can slide again does reset. So you have to have this internal clock knowing when you have to reset your slide. But if you do this right, I promise you're going to outbeat everyone in terms of your overall movement. I outbeat my friends when I'm moving. And the plus side to this is that when we incorporate everything else, when we talk about a redirect, when we talk about wall bouncing, and wall bouncing is going to be a video on Monday. I know I've talked about it, but I believe that that video deserves its own section where we can talk about it. So as you can tell, as you're sliding, this is where you build your momentum. This is very important because this, again, beats you out to everyone else that you're fighting against. And I use toggle whenever I'm doing mine, but you can definitely use hold if that's your personal preference. In my opinion, I guess with the jump, it just feels harder to time. You can also use your scroll wheel whenever you're doing a crouch. There's different combinations combinations of this. Mine happens to be Z and then space, and that's just what feels comfortable for me. It may feel comfortable for a lot of others, which is perfectly fine. Experiment with keybinds on this. And let's get away from the bots over here. I may cut, actually, because they're actually bothering me. Okay, now we're over here, because I want to use the bots and show you what happens with the movement when you get hit. But let's talk about a redirect first. So obviously with a redirect, you slide, and whenever you want to redirect to the movement where you want to go, what you're going to do next is you're going to hit left, and then you're going to hit back. You don't have to press forward anymore. So if we're going to do this quickly and show in real time, you remove actually the W key. You no longer have to push forward, because now you're putting different inputs. Now, if I was horizon, because I think this gets a lot more dramatic because of our movement. See? And now if you're doing the opposite direction, you go with the opposite keys, right? And if you want to hone in it a bit more, then you can add the other direction to kind of even the misdirect out. This is beneficial whenever you're being chased, but also I'm using this to help you understand what happens with your momentum and your speed. So if we break this down very simply again, obviously you incorporate the slide jumping that we were discussing earlier, but while you're mid-air, you're going to hit left, then the back key, and then you're going to even out with the other key, right? Or if you're on controller, then even out with the other direction. So we slide, boom. We'll do the other direction. So this one is going to go left, back, and then even out with the other direction. Boom. Redirect. This is very beneficial when you're being chased. Now, this is perfect timing, actually. Good timing. So if you're moving around, you notice when I get hit, my values change. So I'm going to go and see. Notice how when I'm walking into a straight line, my value of whenever I'm being shot gets hit. It's important to note when you get shot, sometimes you're not able to do a slide jump because they're going to slow down your momentum and it's going to mess up your shots. This is a very applicable to obviously the energy damage that they're doing. This is applicable to heavy. It really doesn't apply too much to light. Yeah, as you can see when I get hit by a light weapon, it doesn't do very much. But obviously with an energy weapon, it makes a big impact. So as you're running around sliding and getting shot, it's important to notate the timing whenever you get hit. And sometimes in certain circumstances, you can't really do much. But my gosh, was that timing perfect for them to show up. I, for once, can say I love the bots. Now, while we're here, let's talk about your movement when you're in a gunfight. Obviously, whenever you're ADS, your movement speed is going to be a lot slower. So now that we're here, and I realize that I have more cuts because the bots are kind of giving me a little bit of a hard time as I'm trying to do a tutorial and get the timing of this right. So that's always kind of fun. But nonetheless, actually, it is still all done in one take. I'm just running around the map and I'm just segueing to a different point in time. So let's discuss what happens when you're in a mid-fight whenever we're going to do more of a dodge, as you see on screen. Okay? So as we talk about that dodge, it's important to notate that when you ADS, you have also a different movement speed. Notice that the movement speed of a Mozambique is 173.5 units. Now if I pull out a Prowler, this has 147.8. If I pull out a Kraber, this has 60. So it's important to notate when you're in a gunfight what your movement speed per gun is. This also helps you land your shots and helps you improve your aim as well. Because as you can tell, this has 156. So if we grab this one has 156.5 as well. So it kind of helps put in perspective when you're aiming your weapons, knowing what movement speed you have, because it's going to mess up your aim. And it's going to make it a little harder to fight. So now we've gotten that out of the way, knowing that your ADS obviously slows, because look at the max unit here. The max unit is 199.52. That's important to notate. So as we get in a fight, and remember when you get shot, you slow down. Now, one thing you can do when you're in a gunfight, which is the biggest thing that you see pros do, is they have their strafe movement. Right? So there's two ways you can do this. We talked about the keybinds before. I recommend, actually, this is why I have it keybound to C, is to toggle. Because it helps the movement go immediately back up, and in a gunfight, the last thing you want to do, hold. I'm using hold in this instance. This is hold, and then I just let go. And the reason for that is because I'm perfectly fine with it going in the opposite direction. Now if you use a toggle, now this can work for you too. But I always feel the timing is a lot more difficult to get with toggle. But again, one of you guys might be an absolute beast at this, which is perfectly fine as well. But notice how toggle, I just don't seem to have the same, I don't know, timing right. Now, if I do hold, my timing is a lot better. Now, really, really important to notate. Very, very important to notate whenever you're using your strafing, that doing this is not good. The reason why, and I actually may need to get a cut here as I go all the way over here. I'm going to show you in third person what it looks like. You want to be sure you complete the strafe. So your character maximizes on the movement. Why it looks really impressive when you're going super, super fast. In reality, I'm going to go in third person. I also have a guide on this as well, so if you want that.
Sorry, we all need a bathroom.
All right.
Break, huh?
Back from a wee kip.
So what happens whenever you go too fast? Notice how I'm going really, really fast, and then my head is not really ducking and weaving, right? No ducking and weaving, but if you complete the full animation, notice how the head definitely bobs and weaves a lot more. But if you have to complete the whole animation, it gives you more of a dodge. So while it may seem slower and less counterintuitive, is this actually a lot more beneficial than doing this? Because reality, when you're fighting somebody in a distance, this movement, when you look at it from their perspective, it looks like you're just in one big line, right? This is not really doing anything, but if you complete the movement and go all the way up and down, and this is a strafing that you see that's really hard to hit because they're actually doing movement up and down when you're trying to headshot them, that's the most daunting and overwhelming, right? So again, if you have your weapon, I'm going to go back to first person here in a second as well. It can look really impressive up close, but it's really not doing very much for you. Except for maybe changing out your hip fire a bit. Now let's go back to first person. So I'm going to need a moment while I run all the way over there. So I can remove the dead air here. Perfect. And we're back. It was only a flesh wound. Now we're back in first person. And I'm going to show you again. Be sure you complete the full movement. And you even see with the camera to make your... you harder to hit in a gunfight. This is the reason why you definitely will be losing some gunfights, because having more movement is key. Now remember, whenever you have this movement, you can do the same whenever you are ADS'd. Of course, it makes it harder for you to hit them, but that's just kind of the reality that we live in. So again, when you're in a gunfight, I'm going to go stand in front of this guy, because this bot, keep in mind these bots have terrible aim. But nonetheless, you will run into people who also have terrible aim in Apex, and this is the advantage that you're looking for, right? So stand in front of this guy. Let's let him shoot us, and we're just going to dodge. He's not going to be able to hit us because we're just going to dodge. Oh, he may hit us a little bit here and there. Make your path a little unpredictable. You know, slide around, move around. Everything we talked about thus far, the momentum, the movement. Now, I'll do a more advanced guide on all this movement as well, because there's a lot that can be discussed in terms of how you jump. We'll talk about climbing and more advanced tips. I really, really wanted to break this down. I see even good players make the mistake of not maximizing on their slides properly, and also even in a gunfight, the strafing. I find it very surprising that a lot of individuals make so many mistakes of not... It's just important to get the basics down. It really, really is. So again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe for more content. I know I've been putting out more basic tutorials, but I really noticed that you guys have been benefiting a lot from them. And it makes the biggest difference for me, because these are the little things that I do that make a pretty big difference. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I know I had a lot more cuts in here, but the bots are kind of giving me a little bit of a hard time. And then also, it took me a little time to go back and forth, and I just wanted to remove the dead air. But again, this was all taken in one take and me talking, so I apologize if I stammered, stuttered. I just, you know, I like having a conversation with you guys and kind of working through this. Again, I will see you guys in the next video. Monday will be about wall bouncing. I have a pretty exciting video, if I'm lucky, in terms of a shipment coming in for Wednesday. Then we're going to discuss as well advanced tips in terms of climbing, in terms of how you can slide, jump, little tips and tricks here and there to build momentum, as you kind of just saw there, whenever you reach edges, and min-maxing. It's going to be essentially min-maxing, so we're going to have those videos out and stuff that pros do. But again, thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the content here on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.